In a previous video, I talked about how special it was to play the Nintendo at night. In the summers, and on other breaks, my parents really didn't designate a bedtime for me, so I'd be up until almost daybreak trying to conquer my library of NES classics. But that quote-unquote unlimited bedtime actually had a limit. You see, sometimes late at night, my mom would get up to have a midnight snack, or my dad would get up to go to the bathroom. I had no TV in my bedroom, so my Nintendo was hooked up to the big wooden CRT TV in the front living room. The house I grew up in was very small, so even with the volume way down, you could still see the glow of the TV, even from the tiny back hallway back by all the bedrooms and bathroom. And you could definitely see it as you walked into the kitchen, because the living room was right next to a very open kitchen. And while I wasn't designated with a bedtime, if my folks walked into the living room at some unholy hour of the night, and I was sitting there with a huge glass of soda, snack cakes, and chips, they were going to sternly advise me that I should go back to bed because it was late and my Nintendo wasn't going anywhere, so I can get back on it the next day. I would sheepishly agree with my parents and put away all of my snacks and cut the TV and Nintendo off. But as soon as they went back to bed, I would become the Nintendo Ninja and devise a plan to sneak back into the living room and continue my NES adventures. I mean, sometimes I had no choice. Some of my games I could save, like The Legend of Zelda or Final Fantasy, and other games I could get codes for, like Mega Man and Metroid. But what if I'm in the middle of a boss fight and getting past the boss would give me a better password or saving point? That's when the Nintendo Ninja would sneak into action and secure a secret shadow realm for gaming. First, I'd cut the volume on the TV all the way down. The music and sound effects are a major part of the game, I know, but I'm trying to get to a critical point in the game, so as long as I can physically see it, I should be okay. I needed my ears sharp and ready for more important things. As far as the light from the TV went, I had to improvise. There was no menu to go to adjust the brightness of the TV, and that old wooden monolith definitely didn't have a brightness knob mounted on it anywhere. So, I would take the thickest blanket from our hall closet and drape it on top of the TV and use any heavy decorative items Mom put on top of the TV as a way to secure the blanket to the front edge of the TV. Then I'd let the rest of it drape over me. I created a makeshift tent where one entire wall of the shelter was the screen of the TV, and I'd be buried under the blanket with it. Now, even with the sound turned down, I didn't want the blanket to cover my ears. I needed to hear footsteps and movement. As I was getting the blanket out of the hall closet, I would go and crack my parents' door open as wide as I could. That way, if they started stirring around or got up, I could hear it and immediately cut the TV off and sit there in the darkness, hopefully undetected. If my dad got up to go to the bathroom, he wouldn't wander over to the kitchen if it was completely dark. We kept the bathroom light on at night, so when you stepped out of your darkened bedroom, the bathroom light would kind of blind you and overpower any other dim light that would have been on in the house. I eventually got smart and would just tape 2 corners of the blanket to the top of the TV, and if I heard something, I could immediately cut the TV off, pull the blanket with me, and jump behind the large sectional couch that curved around the corner of the living room. My mom kept a hanging plant in the corner of the room, and its vines would dangle down into the empty space behind the couch. So if I needed to, I could jump back in the empty corner with the blanket and literally hide in the dark brush, just like a real ninja. Now, cutting the TV off isn't a big deal, but cutting the Nintendo off? I didn't go through all of that trouble just to kill the power on my NES and lose what I had been working on. So, I would either get a piece of dark tape or prop a baseball card over the little red light of the Nintendo. That way, it looked powered off, and I could continue once I knew the coast was clear. When I would stay at a buddy's house, I would have to rely on their ninja skills to get us through the night. Even though I may have been to their house several times and was pretty familiar with their parents, whatever scouting and ninja techniques my buddy used, I'd have to assist because that could mean getting busted, and heaven forbid, losing time with our Nintendo. Sometimes it would take a keen ear and my buddy quickly turning to me and saying, "Pretend you're asleep." And I'd do my very best to look like I was completely knocked out. And when the coast was clear, we would resume our gaming. By then, my buddies knew how to hide the power lights on their Nintendos, and some of my buddies had TVs in their rooms, so cutting them off real quick wasn't a big deal. Other friends would have a similar situation as me. There'd be a massive TV in the living room, and we'd have to figure out if staying on it too late at night was worth the risk. Yeah, I learned a lot as a young Nintendo ninja. Stealth, trusting your senses and keeping them sharp, thinking on my toes, and learning the odd nocturnal habits of adults. And while my time as a Nintendo ninja was brief, it was memorable, to say the least. I hope now for you, gaming at night is a little less tense, but just as enjoyable. Thanks for watching.